You guys have been getting it since I've been gone. Like, for real, the NFA is going to fall, and I know that for sure, and I'm going to explain to you how I know. And it's just not visible between your eyes because you guys have been out the whole time, and you see these little increments happening one at a time, and they don't really amount to anything because it's just this little step, right? Well, where I was going, I got to have everything dumped on me at once, which honestly was quite the shocker. I'm able to see it. It's kind of like when a chick gets fat. They don't realize they're fat, and then people start calling them fat, and they're like, I'm fat, and they're like, yeah, you're fat, because they go from like 150 to 151 pounds. 150 to 151 pounds, it's not that big of a deal. But over a stretch of time, 150 goes to 151, to 152, to 153, and each one, it's not that big. But then when they run into somebody they hadn't seen in like 20 years, like, holy hell, what happened to you? Like, it's a shocker. And that's the shock I'm going through. And I'm going to put you guys through my perspective so you can see it. Now, one of the coolest things is, I finally got a channel sponsor. I haven't had one in so long because, well, let's be real. It's fair to say that the last channel sponsor I had, I probably put in federal prison. Not my fault. The auto keycard was definitely not a machine gun, but it did happen. So it makes it very hard for channel sponsors to come to my channel because of that. So guess who it is? It's Got Your Six app. Boom. Totally free to join the app. Guys, please go join this and check it out. I finally got a channel sponsor. I need to make it rock so I can show other channel sponsors, hey, if you sponsor this channel, you're probably not going to go to federal prison. So this is really awesome. Please go check it out. Sign up for the app. Do his Instagram. Do whatever. Just, I got a channel sponsor. That's amazing. And if you don't want to do that and you'd like to help support the channel, another good way to do it is just shopping at OnlyTechFans@Shopify.com. Bam! Get cool merchandise, little morale patches, MREs, gonna have tourniquets and stuff coming soon. Check that out. So, let's talk about the shock and awe and how crazy it was for me to get out and the little things that you didn't notice because they happened 1 pound at a time, but I noticed because everything was just dumped on me. Number one, the most politically correct gun on the face of the earth when I got locked up was the High Point. It had all the things that all the anti-gun people wanted, all little commies wanted, like no magazine release, or no slide release. It was a single stack magazine that held low ammunition. It was big and bulky and hard to conceal. It rattled. It just was not a good gun. Yeah, they survived on the market because they were the cheapest gun until a tourist stepped up one day and they're like, we can roll a gun at that price, and we can make it awesome. And that pretty much killed the High Point, and they were forced to reevaluate things. And they tried by going with the Yeet cannon. When I went in, this thing was just coming to the market. The Yeet cannon. The gun community forced them to name it that. Literally, it was this huge outcrying because they're like, what should we name it? And everybody's like, Yeet cannon! And they're like, no. And they're like, this gun has to be named that. If you want me to buy that, you need to name that the Yeet cannon. And I want it named the Yeet cannon because the only people that are buying this dumbass gun are people that would use words like yeet. So, that's what we wanted, and that's what's going to be named. That's what was happening when I went in. Guess what's going on now? They have an AR-15 line, a silencer line, which is just mind-blowing. For real. Like, the most politically correct firearm on the face of the earth. Like if the commies took power and they actually allowed us to have a firearm, it would be an old school High Point. That's what they'd want us to have. Magazine disconnect, everything, like all their anti-gun commie ideals shoved into one package. And now they have AR-15s and silencers. That's a huge shift. That means that their Yeet cannon and their old school firearms, obviously, like they had issues, but they were still cheap. So usually the cheapness kept them on the market, are no longer viable. That stupid little carbine with the single stack magazine, you got this big ass bulky heavy gun with 7 shots. Why would anybody want that? Well, you guys have made it clear. We don't want that. And they have noticed that, hey, we can't survive with making these politically correct guns anymore because that's not the way the gun scene's going. Yeah, when we came out with the High Point, we were aiming for, we want a gun that can still be sellable in the anti-gun commie future as long as possible, but that future isn't looking very possible anymore. So they're making financial decisions based on a future they see. And yeah, silencers and AR-15s, that's the future they see. The next big thing is the tax going from $200 down to $0. That in itself is huge. But what this is going to do is this is going to drive a silencer race. Everybody's going to be racing to the bottom of the market to see who can bring the cheapest silencer on the market and still make it profitable so they can dominate the market. Yeah, they'll have other brands, like they'll have the cheap, like $150 silencer or whatever, maybe even less than $100 silencer you can buy. And then they'll have like your premium brands. But the whole point is to race to see who can get to the bottom of the market fastest, because that's the person that's going to stick around for a while. You see the same thing with mass production, like oil filters and car mufflers and stuff like that. Like the person who can provide the product the cheapest, because they're going to get a huge chunk of the market, they wind up crushing the market. And they're able to do that now because before, with a $200 tax, I don't want to buy a $98 silencer and then have to pay a $200 tax on top of it. If I'm going to spend an extra $200, I want that to be the total price to be a little bit. So, all right, I already got to spend $200. That doesn't benefit the product at all. In order for that to calculate in my mind, and I'm assuming most men's mind, I want to be up at least double that. So I want a $400 or more silencer because I'm already putting $200 into it. I don't want to buy a potato for 50 cents, maybe 25 cents, put a serial number on it, and have to slap a $200 tax on that. Somebody did actually register a potato as a silencer, which is hilarious. Now I can, because now I have a zero tax. So now I'm just looking at the base price of the silencer. Why not get it as cheap as possible? Again, like before, all right, so $200 is already going on there. I want to be $400 plus for my silencer. I want to buy that good of a can to make that $200 justifiable. So that's a huge thing. We're going to see that SHOT Show is going on right now. That's where they're probably going to start launching like, oh, hey, here's our $59.99 silencer. Like, that's awesome. We are absolutely 100% going to see it because you can manufacture them for cheap. Silencers were way overpriced for so long because it's such a niche market and you're going to sell so few of them that you have to make a bunch off of each individual product. Now they can sell them en masse. And when they finally get that off of the NFA, which is absolutely going to happen, I promise you it's definitely going to happen. We're going to see silencers, SBRs, SBSs, and full autos coming off the NFA. I don't know when. I don't have a date, but it's happening. The point is, now we will have the silencer race. So that's what that started, aside from the fact that we're also going to see it come off the NFA. So that's pretty nice. The next big thing, Smith & Wesson for years have had this stupid Hillary hole. It's a little locking thing, right? They put it in there because it's politically correct. So now there's this little tool so every Smith & Wesson basically has a built-in gun lock. Because, like I said, it was politically correct. They literally named the thing the Hillary hole. Because of the politics that was going on at the time, it looked at that point in time when they put the Hillary hole in there that they're going to have to preemptively make these things, gadgets and gizmos and stuff like that, to prepare to have a market that is designed around anti-gun politics. And having a gun lock built directly on the gun will help future-proof them. Now they're looking at the future and they're like, we don't need that anymore. There is no future with this anti-gun super elitist, like communist future where we got to have things like a built-in gun lock right on the firearm. So they've removed the Hillary hole from their revolvers. That's a huge step. What they saw as a future move to future-proof them then is no longer there anymore. They don't see that future. And these guys are studying the markets. That's what they do. These are the professionals. These are the manufacturers. So we have two big manufacturers, High Point and Smith & Wesson, have decided that the old future with anti-gun politics going on isn't going to exist anymore, so I need to make firearms that are for a more free future. You see where I'm starting to like really see the signs here? Pistol braces are legal again. Pistol braces literally make SBRs obsolete. There's no reason to file an SBR tax stamp if pistol braces are legal. So they basically single-handedly removed SBRs and SBSs from the NFA registry. We're just waiting for the NFA to catch up with it. They made that obsolete. Bump stocks and FRTs are legal. They make full autos obsolete to regulate it. What's the point of regulating a full auto? Why would anybody even want to get a full auto unless they're looking for something collectible when you could just throw in an FRT or run a bump stock? Because it's all about the feeling. The real practical use of full auto just isn't there. So it's literally for tearing up a range and having a good time. So they make that irrelevant for the NFA to regulate full autos. So it's irrelevant to regulate SBSs and SBRs. It's irrelevant to regulate full autos. What's really left on the NFA besides explosives? That's the only thing we haven't figured out how to make irrelevant to regulate. Yeah, Tannerate kind of does it, but not really. Tannerate's a big difference from sitting behind a bunker and pressing a button like beep, boom, hair blows back as the shock wave goes over you because you just set off like 10 pounds of C4. Like, explosives are definitely still staying on the NFA. But as far as like firearms things, yeah, they're going. They will fall. I don't know when, but they will fall. And I don't think it's going to be that much longer. Maybe sometime in like the beginning of 2030 or mid 2030. Could even be before then. Could be later. I don't know. But it is going to fall. The NFA, almost all firearms restrictions are going to be non-regulated. 29 states. Let me freshen you up. So if you're not familiar, we have 50 states, right? That's 5-0. Not 51, not 52, not 49. We have 50. 29 of them, that's more than half, are constitutional carry. That's a big deal. I remember when Florida was talking about concealed carry, and they're like, oh my God, there's going to be blood in the streets and gang violence is going to run wild, and it's going to be the Wild West, and people are just going to shoot it out in front of McDonald's. Well, it never happened. No, everyone's just fine. Like, for real. People aren't just deciding that, oh, now that I can have a firearm, I'm going to go and shoot a bunch of people. That's not how it works. That's not how it works at all. And 29 states have realized this, and they have went to constitutional carry. I remember when Wisconsin was going to get concealed carry. Oh man, that was a huge deal. I worked at an oil change center at that time, and people would come through and be like, man, I don't know what I'm going to do. They're going to have concealed carry here, and like, I'm going to have to start carrying a gun because there's going to be gunfights in front of this place. How am I going to get my oil change when there's people shooting out in front of your oil change center? I'm going to have to come in here, I'm going to have to shoot people so I can get an oil change. Well, it never happened. It didn't happen at all that way. There was no significant difference in an increase in crime. There's arguments that there's definitely a decrease in crime, but no increase in crime. Now 29 states, more than half the country, has realized that, hey, yeah, it was kind of retarded not to let people carry firearms. There's no real benefit from it. So why don't we just let them carry? Next big one, the death of the assault weapon. Now you have seen this in Miller v. Banta. Miller v. Banta. I think that's pronounced correctly. If not, you know what? It doesn't matter. The point is, in that particular case, the judges were like, no, an AR-15 is not an assault weapon. It's a common sporting rifle. I don't agree with the name common sporting rifle either because I believe that can be twisted into like hunting purposes like what we dealt with in the 90s. But the point is they're not allowing them to no longer constitute this as like some sort of extremely dangerous assault weapon that is just out there massively killing people because like it's in common use. Basically, every single American, I mean, the pro-gun Americans anyway, have an AR-15. How am I going to regulate something that everyone has? It'd be like regulating the color blue. Or regulating a pickup truck, saying like, you guys can't buy a pickup truck, which Obama tried. He did with the whole, we're not going to have gas vehicles by this date. Yeah, it's about that dumb. Like, you can't regulate something that's in common use, because how are you going to... It just doesn't work that way. The point is the judges are acknowledging this. Like, hey, you guys can't just call this an assault weapon. It's not some sort of super special killer. This is America's rifle. This is the right hand of the free world. The giant, big, swinging of the free world. So, that's how I know the NFA is going to fall, because it's going to happen soon. It's going to go before the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court's going to rule that, hey, AR-15s by name are protected by the Second Amendment just because they're in so much common use. Then the obvious next follow-up question is, what AR-15s? They might say right in their ruling, but if they don't, then it'll be like, okay, what AR-15s? Are we talking about pink AR-15s, black AR-15s, long AR-15s, short AR-15s? What AR-15s are specifically protected by the Second Amendment? And their only obvious answer is going to be all of them. Doesn't matter if it's a long AR-15, a short AR-15, a full auto AR-15, they're all protected because that is America's rifle. Anyways, if you guys like to help support the channel directly and you don't want to do the affiliate link and you don't want to check out his app at gotyour6.com, another great way to do it is go down in the description and click on my Amazon affiliate link. Just by clicking on that link and doing the Amazon purchase and you were already going to do anyway, I had a little kickback for it because you came there off my channel. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.